All right. Hello, everybody. It is Erik, and it's just me this week, which means it's time for another Collector Spotlight. And this week, we have one of our great friends from the Discord and Patreon supporter. It's Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, guys. Hi, Erik.
Hello. It's always strange, like just having like me with not Carly or Melanie, because I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to do most of the housekeeping stuff myself. So if this is your first time listening to a Collector Spotlight, we've done one of these before. We featured our friend David, who's also part of the Discord and Patreon supporter. And it's just a really great opportunity to talk to other members of the Harry Potter community, Harry Potter book collecting community, kind of about their collecting journey and how it's different. Because we always say on the show that everyone's collection is different. There's really no parameters to what your collection needs to contain. And even when I went to David's house not too long ago, actually, I stopped over there, just seeing all the different stuff that he had from what I have was super cool. So I feel like all of us have a little bit different things in our collection that kind of just makes it unique to our collection. So Jenny, I just talked a lot. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of like Harry Potter and collecting?
Sure. So I got into Harry Potter itself, which a combination of my brother and my brother-in-law, actually. My brother-in-law was really into the books, and he lent me his first copy. So that's how I read the books and really enjoyed them. And then my brother gave me my first set, which is, the original set that I still have. So that's really sentimental to me. I'll never get rid of those. I didn't start getting into actually collecting the books until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, or really getting into collecting the books, not just like a couple here and there. And I didn't realize that there were people out there who sort of did this beyond Peter the Potter collector until somewhat recently, really, when I heard the podcast. So it was cool to know that there were other people out there who did this, and super excited when I found the Discord and started meeting other people and finding resources to do this more easily and making those connections, which is really awesome. There's just such a wealth of information on there, and the people are just wonderful. And speaking of David, David kind of opened up like a new avenue of collecting for me, because initially I was just looking for the cover art, just unique cover art. I'm not looking into the big six or any of the traditional Thomas Taylor or Mary Grant Prey or any of that. I'm really interested in the art. The art is is what interests me. So I really wasn't getting into the UK or the US books. And then when I met David, he kind of sparked an interest in some of the UK and US books. So that's kind of another avenue I just recently started going down. And last summer I got my first signed UK book.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was really exciting, and he helped me put me in touch with Adam.
Yeah.
And going over auction strategies to make sure I got that book, because I wanted this particular Goblet of Fire because it was signed by the illustrator, also Giles Greenfield.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did they sign it at the same event?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So it didn't have the golden ticket, so that was kind of a bummer. But again, because art is kind of where my passion lies, I thought that was really fun to have the illustrator signed it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I had never done an auction before, other than obviously eBay auction. So like to do like a real auction, it was wild.
Yeah, I've never done it once. I've like half done it once, because there was a book that I bid on, but I was working at the time and David was home and he actually just bid on my behalf.
Yep.
And I told him my maximum amount, and he just put a bid in there for it. But yeah, it is very overwhelming. So
It is. You could get carried away with it. And so I think you really have to have your top number in mind, and you cannot go over it or you will.
Right. And I don't want to sound like an expert by any means, because I am not. And I don't think you would be either.
No, not at all.
And so I was just shocked at all of the components that are in like one of those auctions. It's not like eBay, or like you have a price and that's what you pay. You have a price that you pay, but then you pay like a premium on top of that. You might have to pay a fee of some other kind to like the auction house in general, and like there's like a transfer fee, and then there's shipping on top of all that. So you have to do a lot of like math to figure out what your top bid actually is going to mean. It's usually
significantly higher than what the value of what you're actually of what the product actually is.
Absolutely. And I think the item that I bid on was a really, really ratty copy of like a first edition UK paperback book. And I still have a number in my brain of like, if it's $3,000, which is a lot, that's more than I've ever paid for anything. I'm like, I would maybe consider buying that. And so I threw out a number a little bit lower than that. But then David was like, well, you realize that like this number actually means you're paying like $3,700. And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't realize that. Thank you for telling me, because that would be really like kind of a shock to win something that you think is only going to cost you, I don't know, $100, and it costs you $700 or something.
Exactly.
Economically more than that. So yeah, I'm really glad that we have people in the community that are well versed in that can kind of guide us on that way. So I'm still kind of like waiting to dip my toes a little bit further into that auction scene, but it's still very daunting to me.
It's very daunting. And like I said, I'm really happy that I have that one that's kind of my showpiece right now for as far as the UK and the US. But my main focus really is still that the translation, the original art translations. And other than, I think I counted maybe 10 that I don't have at this point. I mean, I've gotten really far along with that, and Philosopher's Stone in particular.
Just one book. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great question, because I think art is what got me into it also, besides the traveling aspect. Like the different art was definitely what got me wanting to buy more when I was younger, or having people bring them back for me. What was like the first one or two that you remember seeing that you were like, hey, I need to get that? And then how'd you get those?
The French one.
That was one of my first ones too.
I know, and it's like so cheap. It's like $5.
Mine's a big one. It's right here. I'll get it.
Yeah.
My first one was this big French one.
Oh yeah, the large print.
It's the large, and I don't know if it's large print. It's just a big book.
Yep.
And it's kind of zoomed in compared to the smaller one. But I remember my parents brought this back for me along with like an Italian book. And it was like, that's it. I got to have them.
That's
like,
it. Yep.
I need more. Like, look at how cute they are on the front. Those
they
little
are
kids.
So cute. I love all the French books in general are just some of my absolute favorite books. I think they just do such a good job. I don't think that you're a fan, if I remember correctly, but I love the deluxe editions. Those are definitely on my list.
I'm not a fan. I just realized that those books are very expensive.
They are very expensive. I'm doing them very spread out. I have, do I have 3 or 4? I have 3. No, 4. I have 4. Yes.
Wow, that's more than half.
Yes. Yeah, I'm getting there.
They're really cool books. I think if they weren't as expensive, I would be a little more excited to get them.
Yeah.
But again, like that's not my thing. But that's your thing. You're an art focus, so you're going for that. Hey, speaking of French books, sorry to tangent, but while we're talking about them, we should mention that there is a little bit of news that the French publisher is coming out with like new art for the anniversary.
Yes.
And that's on top of the box set that has new art on the box. So we were like a little disappointed with that box set. I did see it at David's house. He had it. Do you have the box set?
I do have the box set.
Okay.
And the box itself is really cool. Like, the fact that the books were the same was kind of a bummer, but the box itself is really cool.
Yeah, and I think David has his like displayed with the back of the box facing
That's how
out.
mine is.
Right. And that's what I would do too, because that's where you get the new art, and that's why I would have wanted it, because of the new art. But the new books that they're coming out with have a totally new art style by a different artist.
And they look they look nothing like the other French books, but they're still great.
It just makes me very envious that, like, that's almost the perfect combination of items, right? They came out with a box that has all of the original art with like a little bit of frills, plus some unique art that's new to the box. And then they have these new art books that are coming out as well. So any Harry Potter book fan in France, or outside of France actually, are probably going to buy both, like the new books
buying both
and the box set. And so, like, Scholastic could have done that too, and I would have gladly given them my money.
Such a disappointment. I'm not buying the Scholastic books.
I'm not either, unless I see it for under $30 at like Target or something. Otherwise, I'm not buying it.
No, it's such a bummer.
I know. So anyway, so that's a little bit of news for y'all. I'm trying to say y'all more because Carly says y'all.
It's very cute.
It's hard to work into my natural speaking.
I know. I'm originally from New York, so it's hard to work in.
I know.
Y'all.
We don't y'all up here either. Although if you listen to last episode, apparently we talk very silly up here. But I would say the same thing about people from
because things
London.
are very vague.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've worked hard to get rid of my accent where we say things like water, but
oh yeah. Right? Everyone has an accent. People say they don't. Everyone has an accent. You just don't hear it because you live amongst it when you're living somewhere. Anyway, back to French book. So you got French was number 1, and then
French was number 1. How did you get that?
You just bought it online, or did
just bought it online?
Okay.
Yep. Most of the books I just acquired, through going online. I really have been touched in general by Harry Potter, the message of the book. I enjoyed it from the beginning, the message of the book and the book itself, throughout the years. But my younger son is extremely medically complicated, and we've spent very long nights in hospitals, and that's when, after I had him, that's sort of when I started listening back again to the audiobooks, and they've been a really big source of comfort for me, and I love the message of the books, and that's when my love for it kind of got reignited. That's also when I started collecting more. It's also when, unfortunately, because when you have a child that's that needy, traveling is difficult.
Yeah.
So, so getting books from different countries is just not something I could live vicariously through all of
right.
you.
Well, that's like, instead of traveling there, you're having like the other countries travel to you.
They come to me. Yeah. Exactly. The owls come to me.
There you go. So I guess just curious then, after you saw the French, like what were your, like, what did you just go on a mad dash to find other ones, or like, where did you start looking at all this art, or what was your plan? Did you have a plan?
I did not take the Mike route of getting 90 books in 2 days.
For those that you don't know, Mike in our Discord bought like all the translations sans 10 in like 70 hours or less.
Yes, and sent a lot of them to my home.
Yes, because he's in the UK and Jenny's obviously in the United States, and
no, it's I did the less expensive ones first. So I did do quite a few in the beginning, but they were more like the Spanish, the basics, the Spanish, the French, the German, the ones that are sort of easy to get and are less money. And then I started going for the bigger ones, more at a slower pace. And then as far as collections, like the 1 through 7 or the box sets, I don't really have any sort of focus on other than just I collect what I like. So I do have some sets, and are just the ones that honestly that make me smile. There's no other.
Those are the sets I have. Right?
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to them. They're
No.
just the ones that make me smile. And if I see a good deal, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's just it. That like sometimes it's a set that maybe I don't necessarily think I want or need, but I'm like, oh, 40
well,
bucks.
how do I turn
How do I
that
say
down?
no to that? Right?
Yeah,
Especially now that I'm an adult, and I don't know. It used to be way easy to buy gifts for me when I was little, right? Or like I think everybody, right? You're like, hey, here's another video game. Here's a Lego. Here's this. And now people are like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't you get me Harry Potter in Swedish book 5? Because I don't have it.
And it's cool.
And
it's got a cool cover.
I'm in no hurry to get these.
Right.
But they're still out there and they're published. So I'm like, hey, why not? Makes me happy. It's easy for you to get. So it's kind of how I feel about box sets too in general. Like hey, it's there. It's an option.
Right.
I think also too, sometimes getting them is fun. You know, like having to email publishers and be like, hey, I want your books. No, I do not speak Thai, but I would like your books, please. Thank you.
Exactly. Sometimes it is kind of when I have time, which is usually just over the summers. I'm a school psychologist, so the school year is pretty tough to do these things. But over the summer, when I actually have some time, the thrill of the hunt is
the thrill of the hunt. It's a real thing.
It is a thing. It's fun. Yeah, sometimes I even try and find things for other people just because it's fun.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people in our Discord do that. Like it's fun for me to be like, hey, someone just posted in one of the Facebook groups that they're looking for Nepali along with like a couple other people we know. But it's someone I didn't know. And apparently they have all of the translations except for Nepali. And I'm like, how do I not know who you are? Which is crazy. Right. But I'm almost like, boy, I really wish we could find Nepali for you. Like, I really want you to have this book. So that was kind of like, oh, but I don't know where to find Nepali. So.
No, well, that's a tough one.
Not many people do. So what's your favorite? What are your favorites? Give me a couple of your favorite covers.
Other than the French, what are some of my favorite?
Like what do you show people?
It's so odd, but the Icelandic books, the Icelandic book is so I don't know what is going on there, but it just cracks me up.
Yeah, it's fun.
What are some of my others? Well, the Slovak box set is just how could you not love this? And the Thai box set, those two are just phenomenal.
Did you get the Slovak one? Did you have any of them signed by Adrian Macho?
Just the regular. I didn't ask for anything extra. Just the first book.
I just said the
that
first
he normally
book too.
Does.
Yeah.
Yep. And he did Harry. Like I didn't ask for Harry. That's
super fun.
Yeah, it's Harry. It's fine.
Iconic.
What else? Yeah. I just recently got the full Turkish set with the alternate covers. That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't have those. Yeah. Those are awesome.
Those are really cool. Those are my recent discovery.
Are they all different colors?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, those are cool. What else have I gotten? There's so many. The Rumor Requirement set is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think you can't really see it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
It's up the top. How do you feel about the Occitan cover?
I actually like the Occitan.
I don't mind the Occitan cover.
I'm sorry, Carly.
There's no apology necessary. She is not here. It's just me, and I think it's pretty cool.
I do too. I actually prefer more like line art, like less refined sort of art, like sketches and like I don't know.
And to use a
and
Carly word,
it's fun.
I like the juxtaposition of that style versus the very kind of photorealistic style that a lot of artists end up going for. And by photorealistic, it's more like cartoony, but it's trying to be, proportionately accurate to try to look like people. It's very cool that there are translations that have art that is a little bit more like abstract, almost to the extent of you might not tell it's a Harry Potter book just by looking at it, which I don't know what episode we talked about this on, but how many covers do we have that have our main characters in a castle and a wand, right? It's like, it's
exactly
a lot, and you can only do that so many times. But then again, like new books come out and they do the same thing and it looks way different still. So I don't think that's exhausted yet, but it is refreshing to have something that's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. The new Croatian books are insane.
Oh, those are really good. Are you getting them one at a time, or are you going to just get one?
I'm just getting Philosopher's Stone for now. There's also the space issue. I mean, I don't have a dedicated room, so I have 2 giant bookshelves on either side of my fireplace. They look really good, but
they do look really good. I've seen pictures.
Pretty jammed up right now. I have like one spot for another shelf, not two, like there's a window next to it, and then there's a spot for another shelf, and then after that I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to put anymore.
So speaking of that, because I think that's where my book started too, in my living room, like what does your family think about this, or your friends? Like, do they think you're crazy? Because my friends thought it was crazy.
Yes. Oh, I think I told you guys, there is recently a good friend of mine. He was like, I don't know how you have time to read all those books. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean read all those books? You think I read Vietnamese? And he was like, wait a minute. He was like, I thought they were all just like different books. And he just didn't even realize, I guess. And I said, no, like I'm collecting them because of the art. I like the covers. They're all different Harry Potter books. And he was like, get out of my car, nerd. That was his response. So yeah, no, people think I'm crazy. My husband is very sweetly supportive of it. He doesn't get it at all. Like he's not a
collector of things.
He's not a collector of things at all. He doesn't understand it, but he's extremely, like, he knows it makes me happy. He's very sweet about it. He'll listen to me, like I'll pull out a book and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. And I'll rattle on about it, and he just smiles and nods like he's interested, and I know his eyes are glazing over.
But so he's supportive. That's nice. Very cool. That's very cool, though, that you have someone that's supportive.
Nice. Yes, and my kids have no interest whatsoever, which is
really?
Like none. I've tried. So I just have to accept that this is something for mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy's
adult hobby, collecting kids' books.
Collecting kids' books. My older son is similar to my husband, where he pretends, and I could tell he doesn't care, but he's sweet about it. And my younger one actively dislikes it. But it's okay. It's
still kind of strange to me how, like, I go to my neighbor's house and he has most of his basement filled with signed sports memorabilia, like football helmets, baseball cards, basketballs, footballs, hockey, goalie masks, like you name it. He's got it, and it's signed by these people. It's really impressive. And nobody thinks that's weird. They're like, wow, this is super cool. Look at all this sports stuff that you have, right? I do know why this is different, right? It's Harry Potter books, but yeah, I mean,
I think it's great.
To me, it's no different, right? It's something that you collect. It's something that looks cool. It's not just a bunch of baseball cards and like a book. Like you can actually show it off, and it I think brings a nice aesthetic to any room that it's in. Makes you look
like a conversation starter.
Yeah, absolutely, because everyone thinks you're really, really smart and you can speak 80 languages.
I mean, next time I'm just going to say yes if somebody asks me.
Of course, I've read them all. Can't you read?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't.
How many Dravidian languages?
strange that people think these things, but
I know, but whatever. They're allowed to think what they think.
exactly.
Doesn't hurt our passion for the hobby.
It certainly does not.
Well, I guess before we go, what's next? Like, what are you currently seeking out? What don't you have that you would want? If you could make it appear on your table right in front of you.
Sure. I would love that the Dutch 20th anniversary, the hardcover box set.
That's a really good one.
That's a really good one.
There's one on eBay for like $2,000, which is not what it's worth, but it's on there.
I know. The seller tried to sell it to me, and I said, "You could keep it.
You can keep it. It's too much money." But isn't that the worst though? You're like, I've been looking for it, and there it is, but I'm not going to pay that much money. But there it is.
There is no way that I would ever spend that.
That's okay. We have a Dutch friend in the Discord that I'm sure will find you.
He's looking for me, and he's lovely.
Yes. Oh, well, Jenny,
I know we have so many great people in the Discord who are just always looking out for one another. So.
We do. And I think that's the really cool thing is like, it's not even so much like, can you buy it and send it to me? It's like, just find a link for me. I'll take care of the rest. Like put me in touch with someone and I can take care of it. It's really cool. It's super cool. I love it. I love the community, which is why I love doing these chats with people like you.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it so fun.
It is fun.
Right? Like you, right? I saw Peter had these books and I was like, oh, that's probably it. And like, but that was still one more person that I knew that had them. And then all of a sudden, boom, all of you folks arrived. And I'm like, oh,
we're all here.
Hey, look, there's more people. Like if we all got together in a room, we would outnumber the naysayers in a room.
We certainly would.
Depending on the size of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a big room.
We need a big room. We could do it though. Jenny, anything else you want to chat about? Any other parts of your collection that you are particularly like pumped up about, or do you have anything that you've missed out on that you're like,
you know what? Anything that I have let go, I'm okay with.
Okay, that's good.
Go. I think that I'm a little bit of an older than the typical collector, and I think with, not to sound like Yoda or anything, but I think with age comes some of that, as much as I absolutely love collecting and I'm happy to do it, and this brings me a lot of joy, I also have a husband, I have a home, I have kids. You know how it is.
I know how it is, right?
There are so many other things going on, and as I just said, I would never ever in a million years pay $2,000 for a box set. And
no, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and so if I have let something go because I feel like it's too much money, then it was meant to not be mine.
Right.
So I'm okay with it, and I'm also okay with waiting something out for what I want to pay for it, or
Yeah, I know. Well,
so I'm
it's
good.
So hard to think about that in the moment, and I think that's a good point. Maybe you are wiser, because I think a lot of us get caught up in like it's right here, I've never seen it, I need to get it now.
Yeah,
because there is that
have that momentary thing in the moment. Yeah,
but you're able to talk yourself down. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, I also think my husband would divorce me, so there's that. But
oh yeah, you don't want that. We don't want that to happen as a result of this hobby.
I do like him kind of. So
that's good.
I'd rather keep him around.
Yes.
So he keeps me in check too. So, but in the moment, of course, you're like, oh, I want it so bad. But I also think I would feel so guilty afterward. I wouldn't even enjoy it. So
yeah, there is that too.
Yeah. So no, I'm really happy with where my collection is right now. And I went through like maybe a 1-2 month period where, you know how you go through these lulls and then like you're like things come up and you like they all come up at the same time, and
Oh yeah.
you buy a bunch, and then you kind of go through another lull. I'm kind of like in a lull right now, but I went through a month or two where like everything was coming up at once, so I'm kind of like okay with being in a lull right now. And just
There's never been a time where I've been like, all right, I'm ready to spend some money, and the things I want appear. It's always like, oh, I just booked a trip to Disneyland, and a week later, the thing I've been waiting for is now up for sale. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, right? I hate when it happens that way.
Seems to always happen that way, though.
I know, but so I'm good right now. I'm just good looking at it and be like, oh, I'm in a good place right now.
Yeah. Wow. Speaking of a good place, I'm in a good place because you were here chatting with me tonight,
Aw,
Jenny.
thanks, Erik.
This was super fun.
Here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're able to stop by. And I think just a little housekeeping things. If you want to hang out with me or Jenny on the Discord, you can get in touch with both of us by supporting Dialogue Alley Podcast on Patreon by going to patreon.com/dialoguealley. It's a really cool place. You can hang out with really cool people that want to buy and collect cool stuff. You don't have to really collect stuff. You can just live vicariously through Jenny and hope that she gets the Dutch box set.
Please.
Or maybe you have a Dutch box set and you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. Who can I possibly send it to? Jenny will take it off of your hands.
I certainly will.
For less than $2,000.
For much less
than $2,000. All right. Well, Jenny, thank you so much again.
Thanks, Erik.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, to this episode of Dialogue Alley Collector's Spotlight. And we will talk to you next time on the show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.